Yeah.
Excuse me.
I saw you got the
Yeah.
GoPro. There was a DJ I was working with at one point in time, and he would when he would do his sets in the clubs, he would do it with the GoPro, and the type of content he got was insane. Like you could see the
Mhm.
vibrations, the beat drop, you see the crowd. Like GoPros are really good. So how what are you going to use them primarily for golfing or for?
Yeah, mostly for golfing, and then like when we take trips. So we're going to Hawaii in September, and
Ooh,
so the
okay.
goal is to usually when we go, we do different things. So like different excursions and all that stuff. So as we're doing that, then I'll be able to capture the content. So I mean, last time we went to Cabo, we did a few things. We did like a sunset cruise. I won't use it for that. That'd be kind of weird walking around with this thing on mine. So we did like a sunset cruise. We also did like a scuba diving tour.
Hmm.
And so the scuba diving tour was pretty cool. You're on the boat, they sail you out there, then you start jumping in the water. I was like, man, if I could capture this like and record it, that'd be fire. Because it like goes underwater, does all that stuff, so I can get the whole experience. So I'll use it for that, and then also use it for golf. But I don't know. I'm just like kind of living like a leisure life right now.
And that is completely okay. Just when you're ready to add more structure, I'm just going to build the schedule out. That's it. That's all I'm. If you're comfortable with where you're at right now, listen, everybody got to do what works for them. You know what I'm saying?
Michelle, a schedule feels too much like a job.
But it's not. It's just more profits. Like you got to stop looking at it like it's a job. It's not. It's really just using the time where you're your best self, your best focused self, and utilizing that time in a space that's gonna allow you to see the turn. That's it. It's not about oh, it's someone telling me. It's just you being disciplined. That's it. It's just a little bit of discipline, saying, you know what, I know that I get my best work done between 9 and 2. So Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 2, I'm going to make sure I'm in the office to get these tasks done. Like that's just what it comes down to. It's not it's the perspective that you're looking at it from. It's not to put you in a box, it's to allow you to stay out of that box.
Oh, I hear what you're saying.
No,
I
you
hear what you're
don't.
saying.
I really pop it into that. But like I said, when you're ready, you know when you're
Yeah.
ready. I mean, there's not an immediate need for you to be super structured. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is what works for you, then it's what works for you. And when you want to make 10K a day or something, you already know what to do to get to that point. So it's honestly not super prevalent for you to be like, I have to be on a schedule. Like you have the empire built. Now we're growing, so it's a lot different for you. That's why it's okay. Now,
Hmm.
for some of our members and things like that, that don't fly. There's not going to be much of a reasoning conversation with you. I just have to reason with you as to why maybe you should have a little bit more structure. But everyone else is like, there is no excuse. There
I
isn't,
respect.
because it's like they can't and it's no shade to any of our members, but it's just like you have to think at the level of which you're at. You can't just post, I have a sale and go crazy. Like, like in your case, people see that there's a sale going on for Todd Cap and they're ready to purchase. Most of the time, until we build up our networks to be strong and solidified like that, there's no days off. Like you really can't take too much of a break. Resting is good and taking care of your health is good, but like if you're trying to hit certain numbers and get to a certain level, that consistency stands where it's at. Like that's why you're so successful. You were consistently every day selling the same product. But it's just some people just don't get you got to go through the process first. They want to skip the process. We can't skip the process. It doesn't work.
So I have an idea, Michelle.
Yes, what's your
What
idea?
if I can schedule my life out? Because I do want to schedule, but I don't want my schedule to mean I have to be in an office behind
Okay.
a desk. So if it's like, hey, you got to get these things done every single day, I can commit to that.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you
It's
just
just the
the
whole
reason why
idea. It's the
I
idea
said
of having to be in the office.
office.
I can't do it.
And that's okay then. If you can get your tasks done in a space that's more, remember, I highlighted a space that is going to be productive for you. If you're productive where you're at right now, there's no need to waste your time and gas to go to the office. But if you can
See,
commit
I'm
to
getting
saying,
sales right. I got 4 sales while I'm sitting here talking to you, Michelle.
exactly. So it's just like, all right. So we find your most productive time and we say, listen, You're gonna find your quiet space away from Nolan, away from wifey, away from everybody, that you're gonna focus on these core tasks that are gonna get you to your next level. And that's it. And it doesn't have to be at the office. It could be there. It could be if you want to go to the back patio and work outside. It's whatever that time frame looks like. You just have to make sure you schedule that time for your focus sessions. Like, you can't be distracted
I
by
can do
anything.
that. See,
Yeah.
Michelle,
So
I
then
can do that.
okay, then we can do that.
That's honestly, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm gonna make sure I'm on the call. Like, I know, like, if I can say, all right, I need to do this at this time, and make sure that I'm making those touch points. I'm all for systems. I'm all for organization. I'm all for that. What I'm not for is getting dressed sometimes. Sometimes the brother don't want to get dressed.
And that's
You know?
okay. And see, so there's
Sometimes I just
clarification.
want to,
I
yeah.
feel you. I feel you
Sometimes
on
I had to go drop off my churro the other day, and I rode out in the same clothes I went to sleep in, and got on the road and did my churro thing. Got back in the car. I was like, I'm gonna be in the car, and I'm gonna go in the car wash. Like, I'm not putting no clothes on, man.
And it's like, I'm the boss. Doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. See,
So I
I like
100%, I agree with you. Like, I definitely need to be organized and scheduled. I like what you said in terms of like putting a dollar sign next to different tasks, so you know where it stands in terms to, like, it actually has a meaning. You know, you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it.
prioritizing.
And so I like that. I just need to make sure that my schedule allows me to do those things while not being in the office, and also while golfing. And if I got to do those things around golf, so be it. If I got to wake up, like you said, if I got to wake up, hit it hard from 8 until 2, then I golf. That's fine. If I got to wake up, know I'm golfing from 10 until 2, and then from 3 until 8, I got to hit those things. I'm all for that. Count me in.
See, and now see, that type of attitude is so much better, because it's like you're open to creating structure, and that's all it's about. It's not really about where you're creating the structure. It's about making sure that you're developing that plan, because if you think about it, you could really work from anywhere. It's just, are you going to have that focus time? And that's what's really, really important. So that's what we'll work on primarily, not primarily, but in tonight's 6 p.m. session. You know, how to schedule your time without like saying, well, if I'm not in the office, if I'm not here, like, no, you can find your safe space and work. It doesn't matter where you're at, just as long as it works for you, you know, as long as you're not being, you know, you're not having to be super dad and everything at one point in time. You can just give yourself a couple hours of just focused work. We put those dollar sign amount, you know, right now you're pushing your high ticket one-on-ones. You know, is your process,
which is going higher, y'all. Y'all better hop in, man. It's so much of an opportunity. It's not even just the coaching, it's the collaboration. We're doing events together. We're working on all kind of really cool things. So if you want the opportunity to work with me, it's well worth the price. They already made their money back.
Listen, guys, I've been working with Charles for 3 years now, and listen, it's probably been one of the best investments I made, because it was a lot of sweat equity. I always came with the ideas, with the value, like, yo, listen, this is what we need to do. This is the play we need to run. And 3 years later, we've built a lot. So the collaboration is key, but working one-on-one with Charles is like goated. I'm just, you know,
and
it's
also,
not because I'm
make sure you drop where you're from inside the chat, and also make sure you guys hit us up with those super chats, man. We like super chats. They help monetize the channel, which allows us to add more value, man. The bigger we get and the more money that we bring into this channel, the more things you guys are going to get from us. So we've already did the live podcast in Atlanta, which was fire. And we only going to do more things. We got more stuff planned. So y'all got to invest in what you want to see more of. You can invest in a course. You can also invest in a platform. We are that platform that's giving people a voice, that's changing the culture, that's highlighting the things that we need to see, instead of continuing to have to see the nonsense that 50 Cent creates, or the nonsense that whoever else puts out, man. We're going to highlight the greatness in us. And yeah, there's nothing on TV right now, so all you got is Tide Capital. Ain't no sports on TV. All you got is us.
And we are forever dropping gems. Right now, we're talking about time management, because in the Tide Capital Mastermind tonight, I'm holding a class on creating our schedule, because, you know, one common thing that we kind of found throughout this week at the group is that a lot of people have so many grand ideas and so many things that they want to accomplish, but it's kind of hard for them to navigate, you know, where they're going or where they want to go. So creating a solid schedule allows you to execute. You know, we love the process, we love going through it, but the ultimate thing is, if you don't execute, you don't gain results. And so we have to put ourselves in position to consistently be gaining results, because guess what? High productivity equals high profits. And, being booked and busy, it sounds great, it's cool, but that is not what we want to wish on our businesses, guys. We don't want to wish chaos. We don't want to wish, too much month and not enough money. Like, I know there's entrepreneurs that are tired of operating in that space. And one thing that I can say is you can increase your revenue, your profits, and productivity in the business by 30% within 21 days of creating that schedule, creating healthy habits and routines. A lot of people say success starts with the mindset. It starts with your mindset and the discipline to know, listen, I got to wake up at 6 a.m. so I can eat breakfast, get my day started. So by 7, I'm in deep work until, 11. Like, you guys have to train yourself so that when you go through a situation or you go through something, your mind is set in a routine. It already automatically will default back to exactly how your schedule is supposed to go. And Charles made a really great point. What if you're not somebody that wants to be so structured to the point where you feel like you're an employee of your business? You're going to the office and you're doing things that you got away from because you wanted that freedom. Create your safe space wherever that may be. Right now, I'm at my parents' house and I'm in my dad's office, and I've been able to get work done. The kids are downstairs. So it doesn't matter, going to the office if you want to be in sweats all day. But if you can give yourself the discipline to sit and do that time, we're good. We're good. Charles, if that means, because I know that your time, our morning call is 8 a.m. If you're waking up at 7 a.m. and you're working from 7 until 12, that you're getting whatever, that extra content, that TikTok content, that extra stuff done for you to put out. And then after that, chill with Nolan all day. Go play golf. Go, do stuff with the GoPro or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. As long as you get those 4 to 6 productive hours in throughout the day, that's what matters. Because ideally, that is the ultimate capacity your brain has to focus on specific tasks. 4 to 6 hours. So we think that hustling so much, 15 hours, 16 hours, at some point you're just lagging along. Like, you're not doing what you need to be doing. You're multitasking. You're stopping to scroll on the internet. You're stopping to do things that are not going to be productively producing. So find what that time frame looks like for you. Like, Charles, what do you think your best work hours are?
I wish it was the evening time, but it's really the morning time. Usually what happens for me is I wake up, I get stuff done, and then I kind of throttle down around lunchtime. And then I take like a little nap from like 12 until 2, 3. And then I get back on it from like 3 until 6. I would like to work in the evening time, but sometimes I just be worn out. And then once I sit on that couch, it's a wrap. But I do get a lot done in the evening time too. So it kind of is sporadic throughout the day. I just try to make sure that things I have to get done. So sending out those emails, scheduling the content, that kind of stuff. I try to make sure I get those things done. But I would say probably the morning time.
That's good. So we can definitely build a schedule around the morning time. I am most productive in the morning now as well. I remember when I used to have to clean the clubs, my productive time was like from 3 in the morning to like 8 in the morning. And it was the worst because I would have to take the kids to school at like 7. So I would literally never sleep. I would just cat nap all throughout the day. And it was just like the worst thing ever. And I just want everyone to understand that rest is a requirement. It is not a reward. You cannot reward yourself with sleep. You need to make sure you're getting an adequate amount of sleep, rest. You're taking breaks throughout the day. And I teach in my time management course how to schedule everything. Like, we love scheduling our inconveniences, but we don't like scheduling the things that are going to actually help us be better for ourselves throughout the day. For example, lunch, making sure you're hydrated and checking on yourself. Like, hey, do I need to take a break? Do I need to go get some fresh air? Do I need some vitamin D? Like, what does that look like? We need to just kind of also like do these things to check in with our mental health. Right now, with everything that's going on in the world and, money, people feel like money is just fleeting and things are not good. We have to make sure that we're checking in with ourselves, and having a schedule allows you to say, listen, I need 15 minutes away from talking to people. I need this amount of time for myself. I need to go eat. I need to make sure that, I'm okay. So, and you cannot be ashamed as an entrepreneur to check in with yourself, because if you can't work, if you're not good, you're not useful to anybody. And I think we can all attest to that one right there.
I would say in the beginning of this, like, it seemed as though I was like anti-schedule because I don't want to go into the office. But what I found as an entrepreneur is, in a lot of ways, like the only boss you have is yourself. And so, how do you boss yourself around? By creating systems and by creating a schedule so that you can hold yourself accountable. And if you don't hold yourself accountable to anything, you don't even know that you're not being productive. And that's one of the things that I told people in the mastermind. It's like, if you don't know your goals, you don't know that you're failing. So if you don't have a schedule, you don't even know, like, you're just thinking like, oh, they're not rocking with my product. They aren't feeling my business. They're not buying from me. They're not supporting my business. No, like, you aren't putting out anything consistently, and you aren't actually out there giving them the opportunity to support you. And so you're actually shooting yourself in the foot by not having a schedule, by not having systems, by not having all these things put in. When you're on the job, like, you have somebody looking over your shoulder. When you're in business, you have to kind of like create that expectation, because what are they measuring you against when you're on the job? It's the expectation. So you have to set
Exactly.
that expectation so that you can know, like, if I'm falling short, that's a problem. Are you ahead of it? And so one of the things that I like is, let's not just meet the goals, let's exceed the goals. So,
Yes.
okay, if we're gonna be putting up, like, at one point in time, my goal was one TikTok a day. So I got one TikTok out, and then, like, I got so good at getting TikToks out, I did as many as I wanted. I mess around and do three TikToks in a day, four TikToks in a day, five TikToks in a day. And so one of the things that comes with, like, creating systems, creating a schedule, creating all that cool stuff is now you're going to also be able to scale and grow. So if you're not measuring what you're doing, you can't even grow. It's like going to the gym and having no plan for what you're going to do on the exercise. Like, all right, I'm just going to do this. You could be doing so much more if you had it documented, if you had it scheduled. But instead, you're just out there just going with the flow, going by the wind. And I think a lot of people do it because they don't want to feel like a failure. Like, they don't want to feel like they fell short. And you need that feeling, because a lot of times that feeling is what pushes you to the next goal. So don't avoid the failure. Set yourself up so that you can succeed or fail, succeed and grow, or fail and grow. Either way, we're going to grow. But if you don't measure it, you'll never know. What's going on, Brandi? What's going on, Raphael?
Hi, fam.
What up? What up? What up?
I need to
Charles,
come
I'm
up
so
with
glad you had that perception change, because boy,
No, I knew I needed a schedule. I just didn't like the office idea. I was like, if I can get the, I get stuff. I told my wife I'll be working on the golf course. All right, y'all. I'll be on the golf course, but I'll be listening to books. I'll be elevating myself. I'll be doing all these really cool things. I'll be working
you
on
gotta
the.
make it,
On
you gotta
the
make
golf.
it make sense in all ways of the phrase. Make it make sense. And I think it's such a good point for you to just change your perspective and look at it like, without knowing what your goals are, how are you gonna reach them? So it's all about being able to be measurable. And a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I want to be a millionaire." That's not a goal. Saying you want to make 3 million in 5 years is a goal, because you can break it down and you can compartmentalize it to say, all right, I need to make this amount of money every month, every day, every week. I need to sell this amount of products. And when you reverse engineer, and what we call it at Prima is a financial skeleton, when you're able to kind of see what your goals are, and then also see how much your products are and match it to say, you know what, if I talk to 25 people a day, if I send 25 DMs a day, if I do this, and you really calculate it down to what you need to do to get to that goal, you now have created milestones. So now are you only able to reach your goals, you're able to congratulate yourself on the way for hitting individual pieces of that goal. So it's like, it's not to scare you into going feeling like you're an employee, but more or less to give you structure to understand that you are on the right path. It's kind of like your own KPIs. How are you supposed to measure what's working for the business if there's no documentation behind it? I was getting upset that one of my courses wasn't selling, and Bruce asked me, he was like, "How long have you been selling it for?" And I was like, 3 days. He's like, "Are you serious? You're really complaining, and you've only been selling it for 72 hours?" And I was like, "I'm Michelle Welch." And he's like, "Yes, you are. That doesn't mean anything." And I'm like, come on, coach. Like, you ain't got to kill me like that. But it's the truth. It doesn't matter who you are. It matters how consistently you show up and how much you put your brand out there in people's face. That's why Charles is as successful as he is, because he didn't care whether people liked it or not. You were going to digest what he had to say. So it's just like being that person that constantly puts yourself out there. And I go back to the value, visibility, and consistency. So it's like, yeah, gotta get on the ball with this time management stuff. Like, it changed my life. I run a lot of different things. I do a lot of things, but I feel like I have a pretty good handle on everything. I feel like I'm there. So that's why I continue
Um,
to preach.
Brandi, what does your scheduling look like? How are you on time management? How does that affect your business and your career? I mean, especially coming from a professional background, have any of those things that you did there translated? You know what's interesting? When I started working in corporate, that was one of the things that they really taught us on. Like they would go through and they had like a whole session on like time blocking and all the stuff that Michelle kind of talks about. Like I actually learned that in corporate. I forgot it. I don't use it as much, but I'm familiar with the concept.
Yeah. You're right, Charles. A lot of that is basically from corporate, like the time management, like we said, in our morning huddles, our mastermind. I explained that being on the call in the morning helps me because that's how it was at work. When I worked corporate, I was in management, so I had to come in earlier to digest everything, to have a call with my district manager, get that information, then be able to relay that information to my team and make them feel it so that they can work good throughout the day, and throughout the day having a schedule, checking emails, checking things like that. That actually does, like, they do teach you that you have to have a schedule, because when you don't, like, they call you every now and then and say, hey, checking in at this hour, what's going on for you now, things like that. But I think once I left,
They be on you, fam.
They
like
be on your back. But I think once I left the job, I kind of like strayed away from it a lot because I was just like, man, I don't gotta do that no more. I'm chilling, like I'm, you know what I mean, whatever. But now, like, you notice that a lot of those things that you did do at work, you need to take it and correlate it into your business. And a lot of people try to step outside of, like, because they quote unquote hate their jobs and want to leave their jobs. And I get that. But like, once you leave your job, you leave everything that they taught you with that, right? Whereas like you should keep some of that stuff if you're trying to be a business owner, if you're trying to build anything, you should keep some of those things to correlate those things to your business and make it better for you. So yeah, time blocking, like Michelle said, is definitely a big thing. When you at work, when you're in corporate, any type of job, there's time is the biggest thing for them. You know what I mean? So they're gonna make sure that you're not wasting their time. That's why they be on you. Like, it's like, yeah, you working 40 hours a week, you get 15-minute breaks, 1 hour lunch. You know what I mean? They have a time schedule for you, and everybody has to know, like, well, what time you going to lunch? What time you going to break? Because somebody needs to be here for that. So they do like be on you for that. So again, if you're just like thinking about leaving your job, I wouldn't say leave it in the sense of like leaving everything. I would say take what you can take and take it with you and use that in your everyday life, in your job, because obviously it works for them. So it got to work.
For that.
I think sometimes, like, coming from corporate, we're just so traumatized by the experience that it's like, I don't want to do anything that you taught me. Like, I don't care about anything. And a lot of the stuff that I learned, on the HR side of things was from corporate because of the jobs that I held. So it was like, it was beneficial, but it's just like, I don't want your practices. So that's definitely understandable. But I feel like once you get to a certain level and you understand like what's needed for better growth and development of yourself and your business, you're willing to kind of put that stigma aside and say, I have to do this if I want to move forward, if I want, a more organized business or whatever that looks like. And I think if more people understood that, like, time management isn't just a cliche, like, oh yeah, manage your time block, day theme, like how much it correlates with how much money you make, with like the relationships you build, like everything is based off of time. And the fact that as Black people, we have colored people time, and that we don't show up or arrive places and we're known to just not be time conscious. I think we need to break that stigma even more and show up for our businesses in a more professional manner when it comes to things like that. So
I think a lot of times, and you said something that hit hard, was the trauma from the job. I think a lot of times the trauma isn't necessarily from the job. The trauma is from the people that you work with. The trauma is from like your management, your district manager, you know what I mean? Because if, like, most times when the CEO or the regional vice president or somebody that was like way higher than the people that I had to talk to on the daily, and they came for like visits or whatever, and it's like, in your mind, and not even in your mind, like every day they talk about these people and they talk about them in a way of like, they're so bad, like, oh my God, she's the bad person, right? But you've never met them. And then finally, when they have those days where they have to come out to the branches and they have to see you and talk to you, when you finally meet them, it's like, hey, what's your name? What do you do? And it's like, yo, they're not even that bad. But like the people that you work around, like that are just like, you need to do this, like they're cracking the whip. It's like they're the ones that are like traumatizing to you, because it's like they're holding you, like they're holding that thumb over you to keep you in a certain way, so they can make it feel like, oh, they're the bad people, they're bad, so you feel a way about them, but it's like, no, it's really you.
So the gym is that it's not necessarily that time management and all these things are bad. It's just we've had bad experiences with them, and so we correlate them with something negative. And I think that that's what I do too. Is it's like, you know what? I had a bad experience with that, so I'm not going to do that again. And there's a term for that I think we were talking about retreating. We were talking about the 4 degrees of action. And so the reason why a lot of people retreat, which is the 2nd degree of action, is because they've had a bad experience with something. And so they say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay away from that. When really we have the opportunity to shape it how we want to shape it, how we can, like, for example, we're talking about fitting my life around golf. My job would never in their life let me fit my life around golf. But as an entrepreneur, I have luxury. And that's the idea of planning, is saying, hey, get up, hit it hard from 8 until 2. If you do not hit it hard from 8 until 2 and your results show that you aren't winning, it's because you failed your system, you failed your plan, not because you went golf, right? So golfing isn't necessarily the either the cause or effect of whether I'm going to be successful or not. It's, am I operating in my schedule? And so now that I have this freedom, that's the freedom that you do want, and that's the freedom that we all aspire towards, is being able to make money anywhere. Whether I'm like, you saw, I'm not sure if you guys saw the Andre post, how he was dancing in the pool with some girls and some big old boobies, and then at the end he was making money.
Right.
But to some people, that's why, like, everyone has to understand what their version of success is. Because at the end of the day, success can be the freedom of time. It could be a bust down Rollie and a Rolls Royce. It could be really whatever you want it to be. But for some, it's the simplicity of being able to make sales while living your best life. And that's why you can't compare yourself to what people are doing on social media, because there's so many people that make so much money are so unfulfilled because it's just not what they want. And so you have to really find what that ultimate happiness is, because, like, a lot of times people are not always motivated. So when you're not motivated, you have to be disciplined. So you have to train yourself. And, like, that's where healthy habits and routines come in. A routine is the adult way to train yourself to be able to stay on your schedule, get your tasks together, and do those things. Like, okay, prime example. If you want to start going to the gym in the morning, sometimes what we'll do is we'll set up obstacles. Okay, I can't get up and go to the gym because I don't have gym clothes. I don't have a bag packed. I don't have this. I don't have that. But if the night before you set up your gym bag and you put all your clothes and everything you need by the front door, so you wake up at 5:30, you literally have no excuse. At that point, you're just being lazy and you have no discipline. So when we create these routines, but we also create habits that aid us in creating the good outcome that we want, i.e. time management to high productivity and high profits. It's the same thing of creating your gym bag the night before, so you wake up and go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning and get your day started. So when we create these habits and routines, it allows us to ease ourselves into the routine that we need and the structure that we need, not necessarily the structure of, I'm an employee of my company and I got to do this and I got to do that. More or less of, this is going to be better for the business. This is going to increase the business. This is going to flow the business. This is going to create synchronicity within the business. And that's where we change our perspective. So healthy habits and healthy routine will allow you to see the good in creating the time management, the schedule, and all of those things and moving forward with it.
So before we throw it to the Tweet Talk side of this podcast, we're going to be running 2 podcasts simultaneously. We got the top level, which is the Millionaire Podcast, and then we got Raphael Tweet Talk. I'm sure he has some tweets for Brandi, because we have never had Brandi on either one of these shows. You guys are in for a special treat because she's dope. But one thing I was also going to say, that in terms of like trauma and retreating, is I think that there's also a lot to be said about jobs and doing things that you hate. And a lot of times, like when you're working a job, you got to do things you hate. And so when you do get the ability to be free, you don't want to do things that you hate. You're like, I only want to do things I love. I only want to do golf. I only want to go on trips and vacations. But there's a lot of value and there's a lot of progress that comes in doing things that you hate. And I was listening to a podcast with Sugar Shane. He's a UFC fighter, and he was saying that every night he does a cold plunge, and he said he hates it every single time. He never looks forward to it. He hates it every single time. He never feels good about it. He still has to do it. And there's things that us as entrepreneurs have to do. more that you do the things that you don't like doing and the things that you hate, the more progress you're going to see. You want to know why? Because your competition hates doing them too. Your competition doesn't want to do those things, but if you are doing the things that you hate, now you're going to make progress and you're going to see the results they're not seeing. Take it away, Raphael. Yep.
Tweet Talk, episode 131.
Woo.
Man, we could do this. This is so dope. We do whatever we want to do.
We do what we want to do here at Tweet Talk, the Black Belt Podcast. I am your host, Raphael Husbands. Here with my co-host, Charles Oglesby III, JD, a.k.a. Todd Billionaire. And today we are rocking with my sister, Michelle Welch, and my other sister, Brandi Hayes, a.k.a. Network with Brandi. Welcome.
The what? Big B?
Big B. B stands for billions.
Brandi, what would be your aspirational name if you had to pick one? What would it be?
I like Brandi. Call me Pink Slip Brandi. I like that.
I like it. I like that. You should start rocking that Pink Slip Brandi.
Oh, Pink Slip Brandi. Yeah. I saw she had posted something like that on Instagram one time, and I was like, oh yeah.
All my car titles. Yeah.
Brandi, can you turn yourself up a little bit?
Yeah, you losing them.
Sorry.
Yeah, your microphone's low all of a sudden.
Is it good now?
Mm-mm.
No, it might be the AirPods. I don't know. It was good before.
It was all good just a week ago.
What do y'all think? Where is it now?
Perfect.
Cool. It was my AirPods. They probably were dying.
Gotcha.
What up, Ray?
What's going on? Introduce yourself, Brandi. Let the people know who you are, where they can find you.
So my name is Brandi Hayes. You can find me on Instagram, mostly at Network with Brandi.
We're changing that though.
We changed. Charles said we changing it, so we got to change it. And I help people turn their cash cards into cash flow.
I like it. Pink Slip Brandi, helping y'all turn cash cards into cash flow. They just go together. Pink Slip, come on, man.
They say you give it the pink slip to the job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the other way around.
Before we go, can I speak on this really quick? It's really important to maintain brand consistency across the board. So like where they see you in any place, they should know who you are and what you do. So just consistency, y'all. If you your name should not be something that's unrelated to business. So you see folks who are like, I do this. I could never tell by your name. I could never tell by your profile. I can never tell by your profile picture. We should know all those things should be lined up. Why? Because you're giving yourself the best chance of success when everything is in line. So keep it consistent because the goal is to make money. The goal is not just to be seen. We ain't just out here and worse to not even be seen because some of y'all wouldn't even know y'all exist, but you're out here doing these great things. So I know that your name is probably Chris or something, but what does Chris do? Chris flips stuff. Keep it consistent. That's what you do, man. I'm serious.
No, you are. It's so important. I'm sorry, Brandi. We had to talk about this, I think, this week in the mastermind, that like your virtual real estate is everything. It's your first impression. Or we were on the live about the Biggie t-shirt. But first impression is, in my opinion, when it comes to business, right? When it comes to business, your first impression is everything. Your virtual real estate is what people know you as. So when you go to someone's page, it's like, I'm looking to see how professional you are. I want to see if you're downing your old clients. I want to see what type of conversations you're having, what type of stuff you're posting. If it's not aligning, I'm not working with you because that's weird.
That's weird. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Tweet Talk Pod. That's Tweet Talk POD. Follow Charles on Twitter at Real Todd Billion. Follow myself on Twitter at Work Money Life. Follow Michelle on Twitter at _Coach Michelle. That's 2 L's and an E at the end. And follow Brandi at Brandi Networks. That's Brandi with an I. Not a why.
I've been trying to figure out how to change my Twitter name to something else, but like I just need one more character and I could just have I am Michelle Welch. So I was thinking about just only putting one M. So I Michelle Welch. But then I'm like, that's not really right grammatically. So and I don't want to change my Instagram name to _ Coach Michelle.
Right. It's tough, and you build up one name and then you go to another platform and
I can't even do Millionaire Michelle. Ooh, I wonder if I could do Millionaire Michelle. But everybody already knows me as Coach Michelle.
It's all good. We're gonna work it out.
Can someone else Twitter can get one more character, please? I'm sick of it. You saw Elon Musk pulled his offer for Twitter.
Yeah.
Deleted his account.
Really? Oh, I didn't see that part.
He suspended his account.
Petty.
That's not petty. He had them people thinking he was about to put up them billions.
I know.
I would be mad too. I would block his account too. He was talking crap about Twitter, and then he's gonna go ahead and pull his thing in. All right.
Yeah, he punked the whole internet thinking he was buying stuff.
Thinking he was going to made the stocks go crazy, all that. But that just goes to show you how much power that man has. Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to pull a tweet, Ralph?
Yeah, I think a good one to start with is Brandi's had one where she said, who you surround yourself with can put you in opportunities that you most likely wouldn't have by yourself.
That was a good one. I actually was listening to a podcast when I heard that, and I just like tweeted it. But like when I listen to podcasts or interviews or things like that, sometimes I just tweet out what's going on because I'm not always tweeting. But that hit home for me because I've been doing this for a while, like, not like full-time entrepreneurship, but just entrepreneurship, right? Like, so part-time I was doing it while I was working, so I was doing that or whatever. But now I'm like full-time as of July of last year. And, up until like, let's say when I got into the mastermind, it really wasn't hitting for me like I wanted it to. And I knew mostly it was because of who I was around, right? And what I was taking in. So when that was said, I was just like, dang, that really hit me hard because I knew that at one point in time I was around certain people that entrepreneurship wasn't a thing for them. Going out and killing and eating what you kill and things like that, it wasn't a thing for them. They was just, Monday through Friday, they was going to work. And for me, it was just like, I needed to be around people that understood what I was going through daily as an entrepreneur, as a person without a job, without somebody giving me a check at the end of the week. And I started to surround myself around other entrepreneurs. So just wanting to be in a mastermind of people that know exactly what I'm doing and what I'm going through and can push me to the next level and not feel like I can't do it or tell me like, oh, that might not be good. You might not be able to do that. Or, it's always a thing of you want people to push you towards what you want, not to make you retreat and make you feel like it won't work or, that ain't the right thing to do right now. That might not be the right thing to do. Like you get the people, because I have a kid, I have, different things. So it's people's like, it might not be the right thing to do right now because you got a son and, this, that, and the third, or you got this, or they put those obstacles like Michelle talked about earlier in your way. And it's like you start to believe those things because these are the only people that you surround yourself with. So it has to be true, right? But then when you start to surround yourself with people that don't have the excuse for you, they're just like, yeah, you can do it, but this is how you're going to have to do it. Yeah, you can do it, but this is how it will have to play out. And then once it plays out this way, are you okay with this outcome? And then once this outcome comes, we can pivot here or there, right? They're giving you direction. Whereas like the people that I used to be surrounded with didn't have the direction. They didn't have a way. So it was just like they stopped you right there because it's like it won't work. Because it probably didn't work for them. So that's how it kind of like that tweet kind of hit me.
100% agree with all of that. Power and proximity. There's so much power in proximity.
Did you get it with some tweets, Raphael?
Yeah, I started off with one of Brandi's.
What
You
was the
talk
tweet?
about
What
who
was
you
the tweet?
surround yourself with can put you in opportunities that you most likely wouldn't have by yourself.
That's why I be golfing, y'all. I'm always just
Right.
having fun,
That's
man.
got to be it.
That's exactly
Absolutely.
why. But it's so true. It's just a very valid statement, and I wish that more people like it. Not only is it true, it's like you got to get away from people who don't rock with you. So it's like it's a two-part thing. It's like get close to people who like, even if you got to pay to get around those people, even if you got to serve to get around those people, like sometimes it's not going to come pretty packaged in the form of mentorship. It might come, you might have to kind of like create a situation that doesn't yet exist. So it's like if you see somebody who you want to work with, like make it a point to get around that person because that's going to elevate where you are. Don't take that for granted. Don't take it for chance, and don't just kind of leave it up to hopefully it might work. Like no, like get in the room on purpose. So
Right.
100%.
And demand what you want.
And not only that, like you say, like Charles said, like sometimes it looks like you actually having to serve. That's a real thing because a lot of people ask for mentors and coaches and things like that. Oh, can you mentor me? Can you coach me or whatever? But like as a person that has time, like I know that like there's only three things: you gotta have time, knowledge, or money, right? So if you got the time and you don't have the money, and you have knowledge around something or a skill, instead of asking that person like, "Hey, could you mentor me? Can you coach me?" If you're watching this person and you're really deep into this person and you really want mentorship and coaching from this person, you know what's going on with this person, right? So you can actually find out what does that person need. Is it something that is going on in that person's life? Maybe they need help with marketing, maybe they need help with somebody, posting for them, maybe whatever it is that you have the skill around, you can actually just show up with that, like show up with that value, and they will see that. And now it's like, oh, okay. But when you show up and it's like, oh, I want to work with you, but you do have the skill, you do have that knowledge, but you don't show up and show that, like, I have this for you, could, like, I want to work with you, I want to do this for you for free or whatever. It's like they kind of look past you. They're looking at some, like, when people get to a certain level, they're looking at people that can bring value to them, because at this point they don't really need any help. You know what I mean? Like in a sense, right? They don't need like help of people just to want to be around to be around. They need help of people that want to be around to serve, to help them to build their brand and their business bigger than what they've already got it to. So if you have that value that you can, like that value add that you can present to them, then it's like you don't have to ask them, hey, could you mentor me? Could you coach me? You're around this person all the time doing tasks for them, being valuable to them. All you got to do is soak up the game. You walking with them. You're going to events with them. You hear what's going on. So you're just soaking up the game the whole time. So inevitably they mentored you, you know what I mean, in that way. Instead of you just being standing there like trying to get that value, you bring the value. You know what I mean? You have something valuable inside of you that you can bring to someone else.
And that's super important. That's how me and Charles developed our relationship, because I knew that his brand aligned with where I wanted to be, with what I wanted. And I knew that the way that I was going to be able to work with him was adding extreme value, showing him where I think he could have expanded the brand or whatever the case may be. And now 3 years later, we're working together one-on-one. And I just think it's so important to not feel like you're above serving anybody, because because of this relationship I've built, it's now put me ahead of I literally talk to millionaires every day because of Charles. I've literally been able to interview Dr. Kimbrough because of Charles. Like, the monumental moments in my life have happened because of a collaboration. So it's just so important to make sure you're in the right rooms. But even if you have to work a little to be there, it makes perfect sense, because look at the value that's being added behind me and my brand now. You know what I'm saying? So it's just super important. And I love that you tweeted that, because I was just like, yes, she gets it. She gets it. The relationships, that's what's so important. Relationships will make you far much more money than
Right.
things by yourself.
I actually, like, I've gotten it long before now. It's just that I've been in my job and around certain people for so long that it didn't click until now. But I remember my mom, she was a entrepreneur for over 20 years. You know what I mean? She was doing it for over 20 years, but like she never could get past where she had these big aspirations, big dreams of like what her business could be. You know what I mean? She saw it, and I see other people doing it now, but she saw it and it was just like she never could get there. And it was because she couldn't get it. Well, I wouldn't say couldn't, but she was scared. She was fearful of getting around the people that could push her to that level. She stayed around the people that she started off with, and the people that, like Charles said, like being around those people that are like naysayers or whatever, and still be like, but that's my friend. You know what I mean? And like staying in that environment is like, that's not a good conducive environment. So that's why like I did the network with Brandi, because I just wanted to be around a bunch of people that knew what they were doing, that were above me, that could give me game, because I knew what it was like for my mom being in the situation that she was in and never got that game, but just knew what she knew. But it was just like she never went further than what she could go.
100%.
Yeah, man. Once I got with Charles, like if it didn't get with Charles, I don't know if I probably would not know anybody else on this call right now.
Right.
I don't think. And I'm
Charles
going to
gotta go.
conferences.
Not even Brandi.
Yeah.
I think even Brandi
That's
connected to the mastermind.
Yeah. That's
No,
how I
before
feel.
that, but
No, it was
after
we
I
was in,
started.
we was in an investment group together, the Top Capital
Okay.
Investment Group.
But
it
you
was
guys
like-
weren't talking like that.
No. We weren't talking like that. But it was before the mastermind that we started talking. I think it was the Tweet Talk podcast when that started. Like, I
Right.
was actually tweeting, not even tweeting. I was on Instagram because I wasn't even on Twitter at the time. And he started the Tweet Talk podcast, and I think I told him about this. And I was like, I had been following Charles for like such a long time, and like I was connected. Like I felt like, oh yeah, this guy, he's good, and like connected to him. And then all of a sudden, like, Tweet Talk podcast came out, and it was just like, we're gonna talk to Charles about the tweets that he has, and we're gonna like expound on them. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what's tweets? What is like? Because I didn't know about Twitter, so I'm like, what is going on? So I listened to the podcast, and I'm just like, yo, I like this. So then when that happened, it was just like I felt like me and Charles were like family, because it was like I already knew like what he knew, like I was on it already. But then like to hear what he actually thought about things, it was like I got to know him personally. And that was like the best thing, like I said, could have ever happened, was the Tweet Talk podcast, like one of his time. And I was like, I love this. And I was just like, never miss the episode. So after that, I was just like, every podcast, I was just like, like little sayings and quotes that you would say, Charles or Raphael, I would write it out, and then I would post it on my stories, and I would tag you guys, and it was always like be running every time. And I think Raphael reached out to me or something. I was like, what? He reached out to me, and then we just kind of like started kicking it like that. But after that, like that's how we kind of linked. And then it was just like, take my number.
Charles, how does it feel to know that you just created so much opportunity and relationships, like between amazing people? You know,
I don't know.
you've been like the
Go.
Glue.
yeah, like
I really don't know.
Glue.
Yeah, you know what? I think it doesn't really matter until we all are rich. So like that's really my focus. It's like, all right, we created this cool network of people, but now let's get out. So it's like that's what I'm really like. I'm like, cool. We got some people. We all rocking. We all connected. Now let's run it up. So Raphael, Brandi, Michelle, Pax, Preston, Dre, because it's like you look at these massive companies, and these massive companies, everybody's paid, like from the top on down. We always celebrate tech jobs,
Mm-hmm.
but you realize like in that tech company, there's folks making crazy bread. So like we're looking at the very bottom of the bottom, and we're celebrating their salary because they make 120, they make 200. And so like the crazy part about that, it is usually a bunch of white folks in there. We just started kind of infiltrating it. It's kind of like a new phenomenon that Black folks are getting, like tech jobs, but they've been doing this. They've been passing the buck around. So like for me, like this is just the beginning. Like this is not the end. This is not the celebration. I'm happy that we're all here. We're all connected. We all have a similar mindset, which is cool. What you can kind of do when you create content, because we all can kind of hang around each other because we think the same. And like there's this idea, like for example, we wake up on a Sunday, it's like, hey, let's get some work done, and we get some work done. Everybody's not like that. Everybody else is like, oh well, my eye itches. It's like, bro, like they got every reason in the world to not work. We're gonna get this work because we all think the same. We all know every day around is a day to get it. So yeah, I mean it does feel good. I like hearing it because it means that like I am having an impact, but I do want us all to like get to that level. That's the goal. That's the So,
That explains your tweet that where you said my game plan is always collaboration, even if some people don't rock with said collaboration. I'm a
I'm
file
glad
my
you brought
people.
that up. Because I was sitting here and I was thinking and I was putting some pieces together and I was hitting up the Monopoly Bros and hitting up Michelle. And I was like, man, I'm kind of building like this network of people who get it. Even if 2 years ago, I couldn't get folks to like really work together because they wanted to run off and do their own thing. And who knows where they at now. I ain't seen them. But like, I kind of was like frustrated a little bit. I was like, man, like I thought we were supposed to be working together, getting it after each other. And I kind of like, I thought like maybe my idea of collaborative economics and working together was just not going to work. And then when I started to see kind of like what's manifesting itself now, I was like, you know what? Maybe it was just the people. Maybe it was just the people that didn't get it. But if I can get some more people in here who get it, then it's not all for naught. So collaboration is still the key. It's just collaborating with the right people who think the same thing, who have the same work ethic, who have the same drive, who understand that the long-term goal is much better than the short-term goal. And that's it.
We here, we rocking.
You rocking. Hey, Brandi, let the people know about the Road to Riches and what you do.
So the Road to Riches is my course that I made for people that want to get into car rentals, the debt-free way. And when I mean the debt-free way, meaning that not using credit and things like that. There's many ways that you can get into it. So you can do, you could become a fleet manager, which is you find someone that has a car that doesn't know about the business, but you know about the business because you bought the course. And you can find them and say, hey, well, I can find a way. I have a way that you can use your car and make some money and we can make money together. I'll do all the work. You just get, the profit. I get the profit for whatever we do. So that's one way that you can do it. Another way, if you have some money, like I had cash on hand, so I use cash. I buy cars between $3,000 to $5,000. I don't go over that. That's my sweet spot. And I teach you how to, if you have issues with the car, how to take care of those issues. Because some of the cars that I do buy, they do have issues, and I have to take care of them. But I buy them at a price point to where it's like that won't hurt my bottom line. And I teach you everything A to Z, how I did it, and to get to the end and get money, basically.
Cool.
$3,000 to $5,000.
And on my Instagram page, I show you like people be saying like it ain't no cars out here for that much money that you can get, and I always do like little clips of like because I'm always on Facebook Marketplace is like my holy grail. Like I use a lot of other places, but Facebook Marketplace is like the biggest place that I go. So whenever that happens, I'm going on there every day. So I always find cars, even when I'm not looking for a new car. I'm just on there and I find cars that are like in the price range that I want to be in, and I kind of explain how I look for these cars, what I'm looking for. And I put it up on my Instagram page so people will see like in my mind like how I'm thinking. But that's basically what I teach you in the course.
So amazing. It's one thing to create content, but it's another thing to set yourself up to always be looking at what you're doing as content. A lot of people are like, how do you get into the mindset to want to create? It's like your life is as an entrepreneur, all of it, every aspect of it is to be documented because it's the journey, and people love watching the journey. They love seeing the process. Like they love it. And then they love to see you win. So it's really dope that you walk them through that process.
And it's kind of crazy, like how, like, I was telling one of my friends, like, and it's just great. I was telling one of my friends, he's a mechanic. He knows how to fix cars and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, this is like the best thing for you right here. Like, you working at a job, you're a mechanic, a trained mechanic. You're working at a job, you really don't like it. You're trying to find something else to do because it's like, I don't like this job. So it's like, bro, you can start your own situation here, like while you're working at that job. And that's another thing. Like people feel as though they need to leave their job before they start doing what they want to do. It's like, no, start doing what you want to do while you're at that job, because your job will be funding what you're doing. So like if you do happen to mess up or something like that, you're not dipping into a savings that you tried to save because you're not working. you have, you know, you got a paycheck come out Friday. So it's like, okay, that didn't really hurt me too bad. But until you can, you know, really take profits, if that makes sense. But most people, they want to get in business, they want to take profits like immediately. You can't take profits immediately. Like me, I don't take profits from my business. I teach you how you need to pay yourself back. You know what I mean? And you need to have money put to the side for incidentals, different things like that. There's a lot of people that complain about like, oh, well, these cars mess up and this and the third. And I say all the time, like, of course they're gonna mess up their cars. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a house. Like people say, like, oh, it's a car, it's an asset. And I'm like, it's not an asset. It's a liability still. We just found a way to make money from it. That's it. It's still a liability. If this goes away today, and you're stuck with these cars, you have liabilities. But if you buy 5 houses and they're running up and a tenant moves out and you have to get a new tenant in, you still have an asset because you can sell that. You know what I mean? You can do so many things with that thing, but it's like when you got a car with 180,000 miles on it, you know what I mean? And somebody, and they shut everything down and you're just like, who are you going to sell that car to? Nobody really wants it. It's not really an asset for them, right? So for me, I'm like, if you're like a mechanic or somebody that's mechanically inclined, like I also show like my dad, like I go to mechanics, I have mechanics, but my dad is mechanically inclined, but he doesn't always work on like the big things for me because he does have a job. So certain little things that like I need to take care of, but I can't get it to my mechanic, my dad will do it for me. So it's like, if you are mechanically inclined yourself, you can go out and find cars yourself, know that, okay, this car needs an axle and the axle is only going to cost me $70 at AutoZone at the local parts place. And then I put it on myself, which is free, my free labor, sweat equity, right? And then I get this car up and running. Look how much money you can make doing that as a mechanic. And now you're not complaining about this job that you hate anymore. Now it's like, yo, I got, you know, this many cars or whatever running for me. And I'm basically like I've doubled my salary doing this on the side. Now you talking crazy to me don't sound so good no more. I'm not scared anymore. I'm just like, man, bye. So that's how I think about it. But when you tie to car payments, 9 car payments, you still gotta take that slander a little bit at work. Because it's like, man, if these people don't rent these cars, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? It might not work out for me. So I'm gonna just stay here for a while until the cars get pushed out. But for me, it's like, I ain't worried about that.
I think that's good. You created something completely different that I've never seen before. So
Michelle, you had a tweet, an old tweet, where you said you want to gift the time management course to 25 Black business owners, and you said only 7 out of 25 people downloaded it. Mm-hmm. Like, how did that make you feel? Like, what was that about?
How did I feel?
Like, what was this whole situation?
You said what?
What were the numbers?
What were the numbers?
Said...
Hold on, 7 out of 25 people downloaded.
Yes. That's it.
All right.
So what the way I felt was more or less like, at first I wasn't offended or anything. It was more or less like, maybe people don't really understand how important time management is. Maybe I'm not getting the message across clear enough that like you're setting yourself for failure when you're not more productive in your business. So it was more or less, I took it as maybe I'm not introducing it in a way that we fully understand. So that's why I do so much research. When we talk to high performing entrepreneurs now, I ask all of them, what does your time management look like? Because it's just like, we have to give out information how our audience is going to take it in. And I think sometimes people hear time management and productivity and they think about the cliche behind it versus how it actually can drastically change your life. So I felt like my approach probably wasn't the best. I should have did a better delivery or did more of a, like, if you take this is what the result will be. And it had probably a lot to do with like my marketing style. It changed a lot since then, probably. Yeah. But I hate when people don't utilize free resources. That actually grinds my gears, I think, more than anything, because anybody of influence put something out there that is free of charge, I feel like you should go for it. I mean, anytime I see something on Facebook, Instagram, even if it's an ad and it's like a free checklist, a free this or a free that, a free ebook, I grab it because there's always something new to learn. So I just kind of think like if you don't have that in your business already, why wouldn't you want the opportunity to just check it out to see? But then I go back to the delivery. And it just wasn't clear on what the result would have been of them taking the time to download it. So I take more accountability versus saying these people don't care. It's like, well, why would they? If their perception of time management is, oh, knowing where my time is going, when you break it down like that, you don't understand it because it's like, oh, I have a schedule. No, it's a lot deeper than that. It's making sure you know what the priority is of your schedule, the delegation of your schedule, what is going to make the money, what makes the most sense, what can get done right now versus waiting, and putting it down on paper. So it's a lot more that goes into it. And I feel like if you're not open about all of those other results that you can get, people aren't going to buy into it anyway. So I just needed to do better with marketing.
Makes sense.
But people should still want to get free stuff. I just don't understand that concept. Like, people are just dumb. Like, what's wrong with you? You don't know about time management. I'm trying to show you. Gosh, it's like, just learn. Open your
eyes to the right people. That's what it comes down to.
Because guess what? Ellie took the course, and she has said multiple times that course allowed her and helped her along her journey. And it's like, look what she's living her best life in like Nigeria right now, like with her man. Like she's building hotels and stuff. Like, come on now. Like, the results show for themselves. I've had multiple people. I've had $1,000 worth of sales off this course, and everyone says the same thing. It's changed their mind about time management and the perspective behind goals and all of that stuff. So it's like, I know the course is a home run. It's okay. Y'all gonna hear about it one way or another. So
I think like a lot of times like we're talking to the wrong people, right?
Yes.
Like we want to go on social, we want to talk to people on social media, we want to give them the information, we want to talk to these people. But a lot of times it's you see where people are going business to business instead of a lot of times business to consumer. So you can have a business and go directly to another business. So like we talked earlier in the show about how when me and Charles, when we talked about being in corporate, like, in corporate America, they have a structure. They have time planned out for you. They have things planned out for you. So I'm quite sure they have a person like yourself, Michelle, in a department that's teaching them to teach the people. They have a department for that. So a lot of people think that they can't go to these big corporations and big businesses, like they don't need these things. They need these things. So again, it just goes back to like who you're talking to. If you're talking to a person that's like, oh, I got this all figured out, like a regular employee that wants to get out of their job, but they just want to have it quick. And it's like, no, it's not going to happen that quick, but you got to get this information first to get to where you want to get to, because it didn't happen that quick for you at your job, right? They had to give you some type of training, right? So these are the training tools that you need to get to. So if that's the case, it's like, these are the people that I need to be talking to. I don't need to be talking to like the everyday entrepreneur that think they know everything, that think they got it because they've got thousands of dollars worth of whatever. I need to be talking to a company that needs to structure their company in a way to teach millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people or even thousands or hundreds of people a certain way. And this way is the Michelle Welch way, right?
It's so funny you say that. It's so funny because I just signed on my first corporate client, and she owns a manufacturing company. Shout out to Yum Crumb. She has like corporate distribution deals with like Sam's Club, Walmart. And she was like, Michelle, my productivity with my team is just it's not there. And she's like, at this point, I'm struggling on the weekends with spending time with my family. I was like, say less. Like, I'm gonna put you guys, your whole corporation, in a 90-day program with me, and you're gonna see a 30% increase in everything across the board. And so I'm creating her policies, her procedures for her employees, because I have an HR background as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm creating her productivity processes, and I'm training her employees. And when you open yourself up to skills in what you do, I'm now, can consider myself a corporate trainer, and I can now pitch productivity training to the corporate side of things, because I can, guarantee a 30% increase in productivity and sale and all of those things. So it's like, you got to find that thing. And I've
Right.
been running from time management for a long time because I'm like, who the hell cares about time management? But it's like when you get down to the nitty gritty, everybody does.
Everybody.
Everybody does.
The mom with 3 kids, with a husband, with so many things, they're running a business, they're doing it. They need the time management. Like you said, Ellie, you know what I mean? She's a mom, she has kids, but she built up a business off of a program that you started to show her how to manage her time.
Mm-hmm. And I just think that's a big bag. Like, you know, and I think sometimes we run, and not to get off the topic of this, but I think sometimes we run from what our calling is because it doesn't look like what we initially thought it was. You know, I was the queen of clean, I still am, but the queen of clean, I'm not discrediting myself.
Right.
That's my title. But you know, as far as the cleaning industry goes, like it burnt me out. So I started to develop like a love-hate relationship for it. But I feel so comfortable in this space talking about productivity and time management. I feel so confident when I am able to show somebody a different way to plan their schedule so that they can get those profits they're looking for. So I really found my passion again with coaching, and it's become so much easier to deliver good results because I'm doing something that I love again. So I think it's really important to also hone in on the fact that like you put out good products when you're doing what you love. You're able to convey, like even with you, Brandi, you're able to convey the proper and necessary steps to purchase a cash car and to make money with it because you invest your time into learning it. You invest your time into creating content that allows people to learn it with you in a way that they understand. And I feel like that all comes from passion. The way Charles is able to teach options so easily, it's a passion of his. He saw how it changed his life. So I think it's important that to not only know your target audience, but to do something that fuels your soul. Like in coaching, time management, productivity gives me like a love that like I don't know, like I'm obsessed with it. Like literally, I can do it all day. And
Right.
so,
Nice.
you know, that's why I'm Michelle Welch, you know what I'm saying? Do we got more tweets?
We can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
Are you muted, Rob?
Oh, Charles, you had a tweet where you said the Lambo is about the brand, not the flex.
Man,
This man is crazy.
Right.
life is crazy, man, because like once you start getting on new levels and you start looking at new things, sometimes the people that you knew on your previous level will kind of try to shame you for getting things that you can actually afford.
Let's be nice.
And sometimes they'll do that because firstly, because they can't afford it in their present situation, but also because they don't feel like they could ever afford it. And it's interesting because we've seen Chris's brand blow up, and we also saw him buy a Lambo. And we've also seen Nehemiah Davis's brand blow up, and he bought a Lambo. And I was listening to the podcast with the TPG dudes, and they were talking about like getting a Lambo and how it like changes everything for you. And also I'm kind of reflecting on what we discussed on last episode. We were talking about how like a lot of folks don't get the home until they think they're a home person, or they don't get whatever it might be, season tickets. I sat on the edge of getting season tickets for years because I never thought that like I can get season tickets. And so what happens is when you buy a Lambo, you actually make more money. So a lot of people, when you're thinking like job life, you're like, man, I'm going to be spending my job income for the Lambo, versus when you get a business and you get a Lambo, now your business becomes more attractive. And so I was watching this interview by Sugar Shane. I just got off it. And he was talking about like one of the football players. He was being interviewed by 3 ex-football players. And they were talking about how he went out and he bought a Lambo, and they're like, man, I'm not buying no Lambo. I'm not spending no money on a Lambo. That's $250. I could use that for something else. And he was like, well, I bought a Lambo. I wrapped it and I did my merch drop, and I did crazy numbers. I probably paid for the Lambo in that merch drop. And he was like, and now whenever brands approach me, they know I got it going. They can't approach me with no small stuff. Like I got a Lambo. Like I operate at a different level. I fly private. I do that kind of stuff. And so him saying that, and then me also seeing it operate, like, why do you think Nehemiah Davis can charge $50,000 for stuff? Because he has a $250,000 car. But if you're driving around in a $20,000 car trying to charge somebody $50,000, now they're gonna be looking at you kind of crazy. And so it's like when you operate at that level, people automatically assume that big money is small money to you. Like when you're living like that, they can't approach you small. They can't expect you to go cheap. They can't expect, and they're also going to buy into it because they want that life too.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's why we say market the payoff, not necessarily the process, not even necessarily the product. And so for the most part, I got that also from Donnie Wiggins, and she was, and I think this is a network marketing thing because I used to see those Forex dudes doing it all the time. Like, it's one thing to actually buy it though, another to rent it and stand in front of it. Two different things we're talking. I'm not talking about like the flex, and renting it for the photo shoot is different than renting it because you're driving it. That's two things too. All right, y'all. I rented a Rolls Royce and I love that Rolls Royce, and I took pictures in front of that Rolls Royce, but I did not rent the Rolls Royce for the purpose of taking pictures. I rented the Rolls Royce because I wanted to drive a Rolls Royce for the weekend, and we took some pictures in front of it. That's different than me saying, hey, let me go rent this private jet for 2 hours and take a picture in front of it. Nevertheless, I was listening to a Donnie Wiggins podcast, and she was saying that your clients aren't going to buy into you if you don't have the life that they want. And a lot of folks, man, we live in a materialistic age. Why do you think? And then also we notice that people listen to people that have what people want. So the reason we look up to rappers, the reason we look up to all those people because they're wearing the designer, they're driving the cars, they got the jewelry. You don't even understand half the stuff they're saying. You just like them because they look like money. And so it's okay to look like money on purpose. You don't got to play small. When we were employees, we had to play small. When I was an employee, I didn't want them to really think I had too much going on because then they might not want to give you a promotion. They might not want to give you a raise, whatever that might look like. They might feel intimidated and let you go. And so you kind of fly under the radar when you're on that job grind. When you're in business, it's your responsibility to be as big as possible, to be as seen as possible, to project an image as much as possible. It's a completely different atmosphere because it's all marketing, it's all branding, it's going towards growing you up. Why do you think Grant Cardone does it? He doesn't even like cars, but he does it because it grows him. It's controversial. Some people disagree, but I think it's actually makes sense. So Lambo coming soon. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna get a
poll. So, but like in all honesty, if you wanted to go get a Lambo or a Rolls Royce right now, could you? Would you? Like, if you had the option to just be like, you know what, I'm gonna treat myself. Could that option be on the table?
I think so. I mean, a Lambo's like $2,000 a month.
Too. Like, if you really wanted to,
I think a Bentley's a little bit more attainable than a Rolls Royce. The Rolls Royce, big bread. But the thing is I don't think.
Yeah, I think it was a Bentley. You said you would be more inclined to get.
But the thing is what, like, I saw somebody post something and he said, how much money do you have to be making per year to buy $100,000 car? And I was like, I think that's the wrong way to look at it. How much cash can I generate per month? How many clients can I bring in per month? That's the way I'm looking at it. So if I can consistently keep my truck running, the truck brings in $6,000 a month. I drive it wherever I want to drive. I just use that income for that asset. And that's the reason why you got to get your living expense out of the way. Get your living expense out of the way. Everything else is icing on the cake. All the cash flow is just icing on the cake. So I think so. I've already created the dividends. I already have the income from the business, which is another gem. It's like I wouldn't even buy it from my personal income. It'd just be a business expense. And so the business more than brings in enough money to do all that stuff. And the business doesn't currently own a vehicle, so it should own a vehicle. So after I get my cash out of this flip and position some things a lot differently, I can do whatever I want to do. I got a Lambo in this flip.
Period. And so I think that's also the difference. So it's not necessarily a flex. If I can go and cash out right now, is it really a flex? It's really, you're giving yourself options, I think, at that point. You know, you had the option, you know, a lot of people can't even afford to rent the Rolls Royce or the Bentley for the weekend. So, I mean, I just think that is the positioning that you put yourself in. And once again, we do live in a time where everybody wants to sell a lifestyle. I sell my authenticity because y'all not going to know what I drive. You're not going to know what my house looks like because people are crazy. And I don't want you to want to work with me because you think I drive $100,000 car. No, I want you to see that I've spent $100,000 on my education and being as valuable as I possibly can be. And I want you to work with me because you know I'm going to give you results. So I just think sometimes also like that spin of things. I love the flashy lifestyle, but I don't want people to work with me based off of that. So I think too, like it goes with like who your aligned target audience is. So that matters. And so I'm a mom. Like I can't really get a Lambo. Like Landon and Trey are gonna argue about who's gonna sit in this. Like, you know know what I'm
Who
saying?
got shotgun?
And then on top of that, they're boys. They are so like nasty. Like they will eat in the back seat, and there will be chocolate milk everywhere. Like they just have no like. When it comes to the car, they just destroy everything. So it's just,
And it don't get any better as they grow up. Because I got a 13-year-old son, and he just like, I find stuff in the car all the time. It's like, bro, when you got out, like it was a trash can right there. Like just take the trash with you.
I was literally waking Landon up last weekend because he decided to sleep until like freaking noon. And there was chocolate fruity pebbles all over his bed. I said, sir, since when did we eat in the room on the bed? What are you doing? And he had chocolate fruity pebbles everywhere. And I was just like, this is preteen. This is what this feels like. This is what this feels like. No, absolutely not. So I'm a boy mom. Like, so I kind of have to, I'm thinking right now a Chevy Tahoe. I need some little rugged, microfiber, easy cleanups.
Microfiber.
I think you got to do is what works best for you. Like I understand what Charles is saying. Like, you know what I mean?
Of course.
That works. And then I also understand what you're saying, because I actually resonate with what you said. But like if you want that lifestyle, if you want people to be attracted to you because of those things and whatever else that comes with that, because believe me, it's a lot that comes with having those things, right? Then go after it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't know that it's a lot that comes with that until they get it, because they never had it. So once you get, like, I'm quite sure Charles, like, being who he is in his own family, like the success that he's gotten and where he's gotten that from where he was, a couple years ago, I'm quite sure it's been like some headaches that happened because of I'm that person now. You know what I mean? So you got to be willing
to this day.
It's gonna be ringing every day. Like,
but the thing is, though, a large part of what pushed me was the life that I desired to live. And so it kind of goes hand in hand. Like, I like the stuff. I've always wanted the stuff. If you look at the picture of the things that I posted, I wanted it before I even like started really taking strides to really make this real. And so I think that's just a side effect that comes with it. Mm-hmm. And it sounds borderline unethical to like promote a life or to share a life, but in a lot of ways that's branding.
It is. It honestly, that's why it's like a double-edged sword, right? So, when, like, for example, I posted a picture with me in front of a Bentley, and I was wearing like a nice outfit, looking very nice. And it was just like that got a lot of attention. I got a lot of followers because people love seeing a beautiful girl in front of an expensive car looking good. So it's just like
you need to be doing more of it. I was like, if you already got it and you're already authentic.
I boots with the short haircut, it just be doing something to the timeline. But it's just like I don't have time to go out right now because I'm working so much. But it's just I gotta get that.
But see, the thing is, and this is what I think is important, is if you didn't get it from that, don't market it as that. So if I don't tell people like and that's the thing, I never told anybody I retired and I got rich off of options. That was never my play. I said how I made $20,000 trading options. I didn't say, hey, if you trade options, you can get a Lambo. Hey, if you trade options, you can do all these things that I'm doing. So it's like, I think, right. But it still attracts people to you. And so I'm actually in the process of laying out like a mastermind challenge. I don't know what to call it, but I'm going to be going over like all the things we've discussed because I need to document that anyway. I went through everything. I went through building traffic, owning traffic. I went through all the emails. I went through the value ladder. All that stuff needs to be packaged up. So I'm going to be packaging up. So if you guys want to, like, what name I should call that, let me know. I want to launch that tomorrow.
Like the ultimate playbook or something, like ultimate something. The ultimate mastermind plays or something like that.
Yeah. And then it's going to be a funnel into my high ticket. Everything's a funnel.
Run it.
Everything is a funnel. Everything is laid up into something else.
That's on my agenda for tomorrow. I'm building a couple funnels out because I'm my mentoring program is booked out. So I'm taking it off the market and I'm going back to my high ticket. So I'm excited because I'm filming some amazing content this week on that to put on YouTube to just get back into the swing of things now that I have the office. And so funnels are life. And especially last week, you gave us an example of how you made some upsells off your funnel. So it's just like now that we know, or I know how to use Samcart because I didn't know how to use it. But when we did that little informational Saturday, that was really helpful. But you need funnels because if you can get someone to one product, you can get them to another. It's just a lot of times people don't know what you offer unless they actually see it. So shout out to Charles for putting us on with this funnel game. And they're not hard to put together either, too. So, and if you need help with funnels, you need to be in the mastermind because, yeah.
Join the mastermind.
Do we have another tweet?
Talking about the Lambos. And Brandi had a tweet where she asked, "What's the fascination of people being in the mud?"
Say that
Getting
again.
out the mud. So, what's the fascination of people being in the mud? Everybody talking about how they got out the mud.
You said, "What's the fact?" That was the tweet. What was the fascination of people getting it out the mud?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really want to know because like everything that people talk about is like, I got it out the mud, I got it from here, I got it from there. But like you never hear people, really say like, yeah, I might have got it out the mud or whatever, but I'm gonna make sure that my kid doesn't or whatever. It's like they're pushing their children to get it out the mud too. And it's like, why would we want to do that? Right? Like I want my child to have options. I want my child to be, in a situation, in a space of I don't have to feel like I have to, like he doesn't have to feel like he has to like survive. Like, you know what I mean? I gotta do certain things to actually like survive. Like that's what we like most of us grew up in. Like growing up, it was a lot of like survival tactics. We were doing things out of like, I need this and I gotta do whatever I can do to get it. So why would we want to put like our children in that same space if we know how it felt for us? So like for me, I'm like, I'm doing all this to make sure that my son doesn't have to, be left back or left behind or feel like he has to be doing certain things in order to have or attain what he sees somebody else having, right? Like I go like we travel and things like that. Like I take my son out of the country. We went to Jamaica last year. Like he goes with me different places. I take him different places because those are just their opportunities. You know what I mean? I noticed when I was coming up and I had to explain this to my son. I'm like, he went to Jamaica. We went last year, and I'm like, do you know when the first time I went to Jamaica? And he's like, no, like he has no idea. And I'm like, the first time I ever went like out of the country to Jamaica was like on like my 23rd birthday or something. It probably was my 25th birthday actually because I had him like the next year, but it was like my 25th birthday, and it was like I made that trip myself. Like my mom didn't help, my dad didn't help, like nobody helped. It was just like I in my mind was like, I want to go out of the country. I don't want to go to like the cities or the states or whatever. I want to go out of the country and see something different. And I put my money up and I went for my birthday. And it's like your first time in Jamaica is at your adolescent, like you're a little kid, like with the parent, like going out of the country. We don't understand that does something for our children. You know what I mean? As like Black people, we don't understand that taking them somewhere, even if it's New Orleans, even if it's, we talk about, oh, Miami and, city girls up and this, that, and third. Like, you done been to Miami, to Florida, how many times, and your kids have never been to Florida? You know what I mean? So it's just like, when are you going to take your child and give them an experience? Because now they have these experiences, and it's like, once they get older, there's no like, oh, I missed out on this or I missed out on that. It's like they're fighting and wanting all these things to happen, and they're just not, they're not surviving in that space. It's kind of like it's happening because, I've been here before. I know this is no big deal. You know what I mean? But when you go somewhere or when you see something that's like the first time at like 26, 30 years old, it's a little different than when you see it at 10, 12, 11. You know what I mean? Nolan too. You know what I mean? However your kids are, when you get to take them and go different places with them and have them in different arenas, if you will, it gives them different opportunity. It makes them look at the world different. we look at the world the way we look at it because we're stuck in an environment that makes us feel like the mud is it. Like if you get it out the mud, like you got people that are becoming rappers or whatever the case may be, and they coming out and it's like they like, yeah, I got it out the mud. And then when you really look back on their situations, like, bro, you had your mom and your dad in the house. Y'all lived over on, you know what I mean, the east side, which is like a good side of town. Like, why would you want to come over here and act like you're so bad? Like, it's hard for us. You know what I mean? So that is like, I don't want that for my son. I want him to have privilege. I want him to be privileged because at he's a black boy. We see what's happening to black men. So it's like, if he has a certain type of privilege, then he's not, you know what I mean, he's not subjected to certain things. Like I say this all the time, like you have to have like a sphere of influence around your children. Like right now, like I said, my son's 13, but I just took him like on his first little date, right? Like he's talking to this little girl and I took him on his first little date. He went to the fair and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, we went, whatever the case may be. And then we went to the movies for another one. And I'm like, I'm good with this little girl, whatever. I was like, they can possibly just be friends for forever, right? But the fact that I know her parents, the fact that we connected, you know what I mean, as parents, we were connected first before our children knew each other, before they were connected, like long lineage of, oh, I know this people, parents, family, whatever. It's like that makes a difference. When you have a situation where you can like kind of like put your children in an environment or in a space where they can thrive, it makes a big difference than if you just allow them to go out and figure this thing out on their own, right? So this is like a big thing for me. And a lot of people, they push back on me about it, like, oh, how you get, I was like, because I'm putting my son in environments that I want him to be in. If I have, like we just said, the mastermind, if I'm in the mastermind, people that think like me, they have the same, you know, ideologies as me, we go back and forth on different things, but we have the same goal of getting somewhere and making a difference and being better in our lives, then at the end of the day, it's like, these are the same people that my child will be around. These are the same people that I know that, hey, they're raising their children like I'm raising my child. So if it just so happened, like, you know what I mean, these people are around, like my kid could be around them. You know what I mean? Like we talk about our rappers and stuff like, oh, once you get some money, you was in the mud, but now you got some money. Now you with this person or that person. You think they got millions of dollars and they're gonna like really like be with this person that's like taking them through some crazy stuff or being in an environment or have a mindset of like not where they're at right now? You've evolved to a certain point, so now I have to get around those people that are in that area in the way that I've evolved. So now I'm just like, hey, I'm around these people. This is what I do. It's evolution, right? So I'm gonna put my son in the best place possible to be the best person he can be. That's it.
Really quick, and I'm probably gonna have to duck out or come in and out, but I would say that it's interesting that you said that like rappers talking about they came out of the mud and they really didn't. And some of the best rappers are the ones that did not come out of the mud. Because the mud does not produce great things. Privilege produces great things. People who come from privilege go to the best schools, create the best projects, are the best people. Because the mud will produce some scum. And so the other thing that I'll say is that a lot of reasons why I refuse to do that is because I know what it feels like, man. I didn't come from the mud, but I think that my dad could have done a little bit more, especially post 18. My dad was one of those dads that like did everything he had to do till 18. And it was like, all right, you're on your own. That's the worst time to let a young man go. In my opinion, that's the worst time because up until 18, they got the school system, they got the teachers, they got the principals, they got their coaches, they have all this stuff going before they turn 18. And when they turn 18, nobody gives a F anymore. Nobody cares anymore.
Right.
And they treat them just like an adult. And they're going to let them make adult decisions and make adult mistakes, and they do not care. And that's the worst time to let your kids go. I know what it feels like. I used to be mad. A lot of like the grinding and the hustling that I did was out of like anger. Like I used to work hard and be pissed off about it, but I was still working. And so I talk about it now and I glamorize like, oh yeah, I was going hard, but I was mad the whole time. I was like, man, why aren't they helping me? Why are they making me figure this out myself? And so like that was one of the reasons why like looking back on like certain things, like when I could have helped people, but I chose not to because they didn't help me when they could have. And they can be mad about it. And I told them, I was like, I was mad about it too. I was looking to you when I was like, if I was in the same situation as you, you wouldn't have helped me. If I was looking for help to get a house, you wouldn't be helping me. but for some reason now you expect me to just be bailing you out and making you make this happen. And so I think that the reason why we don't want to make sure our kids come out of the mud is because it can kind of breed this resentment in you, and it can breed this like bitterness in you. And I think that that's like, I used to work in the hood and everybody was just so mean. But then you go to like nice areas, everybody's so kind and pleasant because it's like you don't got no worries. What you got to be mad about? Rich folks ain't got nothing to be mad about. Like, and if they do, it's like, all right, whatever. Like they ain't tripping off a small. They're not tripping off of you. You got to bring butter for their pancakes. They're like, oh, you forgot my butter, but they're not going to turn up the whole table. But broke people will. Broke people will turn a small thing into a big thing, and then be hopping over the table. I know you guys saw that video of those girls who were at that restaurant in like Miami, it looked like, and they were just like tearing up the whole restaurant.
It was
bad.
That was sad.
Yeah. Broke people, rich people don't do that, man. You don't see people, and that's unfortunately, and this is one of the worst parts about it, is like I saw my friend, he's in Atlanta, and he went to the Trap Museum, and I guess there's some exhibit there that showed like how many African American men are in jail, as opposed to like the entire prison population worldwide. Apparently, like there's more black men in jail in America than the entire prison population worldwide. And I think we're gonna look back on this and say like this is worse than slavery. Like at least like I mean like yeah like something's got to change. But the thing is it's by design. We talk about a system. We talk about that the system flows without you even having your hands in. Like remember when we were saying like and this kind of like a contradiction on my part. Like when we were talking about how like that water, it goes from the toilet all the way to your tap and it just flows, no people involved. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of what systematic racism looks like, where they've set the system up and they don't even got to be involved anymore. They just step back and we kill each other and we slander each other and we hate each other and we destroy each other and they look like their hands are clean, even though they orchestrated the entire thing. Right. And so I think that a big part of the reason why young men do dumb things at a young age is because they've had to get out of the mud. Is because they want nice things, but they don't have the means to get nice things because they're not going to be able to get a job that's going to pay them enough to get nice things. They're not going to be able to work enough hours to get those nice things. And so they do dumb stuff to get those nice things. And that's all the result of somebody making them get it out of the mud. Whereas if you were to put them in position to have those things or help them get those things and make sure they had that car, make sure they had that nice pair of shoes, whatever they might want, like now we're going to have a better society. So in large part, I think I know we can solve all our own problems, but at first we got to accept that those are problems and the mud is a problem. Interestingly enough, Nolan's just kind of being quiet right now. He's not hopping on the table, so I can keep going.
So let me ask you something real quick, Brandi. You got a tweet where you were talking about how you started screening your car rental guests a little differently. You see, before you accept a rental, you ask for a screenshot of their profile on the app that they'll be using to work while renting your vehicles. First of all, let's go to the platform that you normally use for your car rentals.
So the platform that I use for my car rentals is HireCar. HYRECAR. HireCar is for gig workers. So people that work Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, gigs. I use that platform.
Right. So it's not like Turo, like the casual renter.
Right. So yeah, Turo is more like for casual. Like people on Turo still use those cars to do these jobs, but Turo doesn't market it in that way. They market it in a way of like, hey, you can rent a car for a day or whatever the case may be and ride around the city or whatever. But for HireCar, they actually market to gig workers. So when they rent the car out, they're renting out for a minimum 2 days. So they're figuring that if you rent a car, you have a car for at least 2 days, your the probability of you keeping it a little longer is greater, right? Rather than if you keep it for like a couple hours or a day. So you have to do it a minimum of 2 days. So like most of my rentals, the first time like somebody come in to rent, they'll rent for 7 days or 2 weeks or even a month for the first time because they've accumulated a certain amount of money and they just need a car and they drop all their money on that one car and they kind of run it. And then as they're working, they're getting more money to pay to be able to extend out.
Cool. So what is asking for a screenshot of their profile? What does that do? And why did you do that? So
one of the main reasons I did that is because one of one of the people that I rented to on one of my vehicles, he wasn't like the best renter. He was good. He paid and you know what I mean, whatever. But at times it was certain days where he was just like, you know, it was maybe like an hour or so because I give you a grace period if you're like gonna be late, how long what that grace period looks like. So sometimes like some days he would go over that grace period, but he would always like reach out to me and say, hey, you know, this is happening, I'm gonna get it, whatever. And I'm like, okay, no problem, like, you know, as long as you get it or whatever. And I found out that like he wasn't really working like Uber, Lyft, or things like that. He was working like a app that was like a handyman app. It was called like this handyman. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it, like you can work it, but to me it didn't seem like consistent at all because he was the one that was giving me like the issue, or maybe he wasn't consistent. I don't know, but after that, I was just like, you know what? Let me start screening these people and see like what's going on, like what apps are they using, right? So then that kind of let me know, like, hey, certain people, like when people use certain apps, they may run a little longer because they are really serious about, you know, making money in this situation, and they're pretty much making pretty good money. So I started to screen them. So before I approved them, I would send them a message and, you know, ask them before I approved them, could they send me a screenshot of their of the app they will be using to work, like the profile. And they started sending it. And, you know, after that, it was just like I was doing it. It was pretty good. It was good because I was able to see like, okay, the people that drive like Uber, Lyft, you know, they're staying a little longer, or they're good renters, or when the car comes back, how the car kind of looks for me and things like that. That made it a situation for me to know, like, okay, these are the demographic of people, if you will, that I would want to like really like focus on.
So I had a tweet where you said, "Do you want to be my broke friend or my rich student?" What was that about?
That was a good one. That was that actually was from Coach Stormy, Stormy Wellington. I listened, like I said, I listened to podcasts, I listened to YouTube, things like that, and that was something that like she talked about because she felt like she lost a lot of momentum, if you will. I can't say like verbatim, but basically it was like she lost a lot of momentum with the people that she was, you know, coaching and things like that, because they basically became her friends. Like she became friends with them. She like they were like with her on vacations. We were taking pictures together. You know, things were happening, and it was all good, right? Because they were friends. But then she said she realized that in them becoming her friends, quote unquote, but she was like, these were her mentor, like her mentees, and them becoming her friends, quote unquote, they started to stop listening to what she was actually teaching. So it was like they became like close friends, and it's like now the information that I'm giving or the things that I'm telling you, you're not really listening or hearing it because you feel like we're friends, but I'm still your coach. So she said it, and it was just like, you know, I told them, she was like, I had to kind of like get away from everybody and like, you know, realign myself. And she said, would you rather be like when the people were like calling her like, hey, and she was like, you know, I gotta call you right back or whatever, and wouldn't call them back. It was like they were feeling away. So she just had to come out and let them know, like, hey, would you rather be my broke friend or my rich student? Because as my friend, you're not listening to me anymore. You're not taking my advice. You're not taking what I'm saying because you feel like you're right here with me, like you're on my level, which you're not. So if you want to be rich, then you have to be my student. If you want to be broke, then you can be my friend, because it's gonna seem like, you know, when I'm going out and flying private and going to these clubs and wearing Giuseppe's and doing all this stuff, you're gonna want to do it too because you feel like we friends, we equal, right? But if you don't really have it to do it because you're still trying to learn, then you need to still be my student and not be my friend. So that like kind of just hit, and I was just like, dang, that made so much sense.
What do you think about that, Charles?
I'm just having to hear the tweet. What was the tweet, man?
It was
daddy duty, daddy daycare.
Yeah.
It was, do you want to be my broke friend or a rich student?
I like that. I like it. And I think that actually makes a lot of sense because sometimes it can apply to family too. A lot of times family will push back on you and they'll accept it from somebody else who's a stranger, which might sound cool, but if you passing over life-changing information because of the person that it came from, you just gotta enjoy the project. Like I can't do nothing for you but tell you to enjoy the projects because I'm telling you the same as that thing that you're gonna go listen to somebody who's a stranger and they're rejecting it just because it's coming from somebody who they know and who they saw rise up. So I think that like a lot of things that we do, we have to recondition people's minds, people's thinking. It's like, bro, I know that you probably think like this, but here's a better way. And so I'll say things and I don't see the spark light up in some people sometimes, but I'm like, it should have lit up because I see the way you living. And if you applied this and you actually allowed this to go into your spirit, you could do better. And so I think that as a community, maybe sometimes we don't value each other as much as we should. And if we valued each other more, we'd value our words more. Because a lot of folks ain't saying nothing different than what your friends and your family are saying. You're just rejecting it. And that's the same information that could change your life. And you just don't want them to think that they're right. I don't care if you're right. I don't care if you think I'm right. I care if what you tell me is going to work for me. You can get all the credit. I don't care because I'm going to get all the success. Like what matters more, success or credit?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. She also said something about like we talk about Myron Golden a lot in the mastermind, like somebody, a successful Black man that's like really, doing big things. And she was talking about the mastermind that she was in, that they were in or whatever. And she's like, I paid a lot of money for this mastermind, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be there or whatever. She's like, and she told David, she's like, you see, when we were in the mastermind, like Myron Golden was the person, I guess, that was running the mastermind. And she was like, you notice, like, I've known Myron Golden for over 13 years. Like she says this, she's like, I've known him for over 13 years. She said, but did you notice that when we were in the mastermind, I act like I didn't know him. I didn't like get chummy with him. I didn't get, all in with him or whatever. And they was like, yeah, like she's like, that's because I want to be a rich student. Like I'm not on his level yet. I'm not there where he's at yet. So I can't feel like we're friends. I can't feel like I can, rub shoulders with him in that way. I still need to be a student. So I'm not going to be in that space of like thinking that we're equal, because we're not. You know what I mean? And she's like, a lot of people think that like once they get close to you and you've made it somewhere and they get close to you, like you said, Charles, like even your family, like they're the closest to you and you've made it, and they'll feel like they've made it too. Whereas like, no, you didn't really make it. Like you didn't put in the work that I had to put in. You didn't do all the things that I had to do to get to this point. You're trying to be like rich by association, but like I'm trying to be like rich for real. You know what I mean? Like that's a real thing. Like I'm not trying to be rich by association. I'm not trying to be rich based off of, the things that maybe like Charles did because I'm connected to him, or what you did, Raphael, because I'm connected to you. You got to want to be rich for real. If you want to be rich for real, you can't feel like this person is your friend if they still have information and they're still this far away from you and they still can give you something that can elevate you. You know what I mean? So that was just like, it was just powerful to me that like that all came out. And I'm just like, dang, like, because we look at Myron Golden as like this, you know what I mean? But it's like, she's like, I've known him for over 13 years. She's like, but I don't like, when I see him, it's like, hey, how you doing? Whatever. I don't like come off like we're friends, because we're not. You know what I mean? I still got things to get, information to get to another level. I ain't where I want to be.
I would say that another way that people do that is when they get around somebody who's successful, who they know, and they want to debate the things that they're teaching them. I hate that, man. I hate when I'm like sharing somebody something and I got to debate you. Like, okay, all right. Like,
You're right, fam.
Right.
Enjoy the projects.
Enjoy the
Enjoy the projects.
This has been running long, Raphael. What you got? And let's and then I'll bow out. Y'all can keep it going.
I'm about to wrap it up. Like you said, it is running long. Brandi, tell them where they could find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Network with Brandi. You also can find me, like Raphael said, on Twitter at Brandi Networks. I ain't nowhere else, but that's where I'm at. You can find me, and the link's in my bio if you want to get started in the debt-free rentals, the way that I got started. And that's pretty much it.
And tell them what they're going to learn in this course, man.
So you're just gonna learn everything, A to Z, everything that I teach: how to buy the car, how to negotiate with the seller, how to get the parts for the lowest you can get them, how to find people, how to build relationships with people, how to make sure that the car has a clean title, because that's the number one thing you want to make sure that the car has a clean title. I have PDFs, templates in my courses where you find out where you can put the VIN number in and see if the car has a clean title or if it's salvaged or rebuilt. Just a bunch of information: how to build and scale the business, how to automate the business, just a bunch of information. And every time I learn new things, because I'm learning stuff all the time. I don't say I always say I don't know everything about this business. I'm just learning like everybody else, but I just take it in and I give it to the people that want it. So as I'm learning it, the course will be built out more.
And people with regular jobs can still run it on the side, right?
Absolutely. I started this working my 9 to 5. I had 3 cars running, automated. So like it was just like I wasn't dealing with anything. It was just an automated situation. I make sure the car was where it needed to be, and I'll go to work. And usually like 12 o'clock, noon, my lunch break or whatever, somebody be picking up my car and I'll be on lunch or helping a customer or whatever. But I was making money in that space. So yeah, I had 3 cars running at the time of my 9 to 5, and that's when I knew like I just had to keep going.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Tweet Talk Podcast. Follow myself on Twitter at Work Money Life. Follow Charles on Twitter at Real Todd Billion. Follow us on Instagram at Tweet Talk Podcast. Follow my man Charles on Instagram at Todd Billion, and also follow the parent company at Todd.Capital. Episode 131 of Tweet Talk the Black Belt Podcast. I am your host, Raphael, with Charles and our guest, Brandi. See y'all next time. Peace.